Welcome back to the latest episode of the Added Time podcast with me, Alan Myers, and former Everton, Manchester City and Burnley midfielder Tony Grant. And Tony, well, you can like and subscribe, by the way, anytime on YouTube, Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, really. But this week, Tony, in the studio, we've got a great guest, someone we know very well, and that's Francis Jeffers, as his mum calls him, Franny Jeffers to us. Franny, welcome to the podcast. And first of all, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good, yeah. Was out of work for a couple of years. That was tough. Joined Wayne's brother, John Rooney, at Macclesfield. Back in footy, and yeah, I'm loving it.
And Tony, I mean, obviously, we're going to look at the Premier League in a moment, and but we must talk about Franny as well, and at the times, and it was a great period, wasn't it? When there was that sort of connection with Kevin Campbell. There was the Richard Gough sort of, that spine through the team, if you know what I mean. It was a good time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember Frank coming through. So I was a young pro at the time, and Belfield was a brilliant place to play your football and train. Some great characters there. And then all of a sudden, one of the younger kids comes through from the academy. Not much of him. There was not much of me, by the way, but not much of Fran. Skinny kid from Crocky. And something always struck me. And he probably doesn't even know this, but we were training, and there was a brilliant little pitch right outside where we used to clean boots. We used to clean the boots.
Yeah.
We used to put like 2 big goals there, and it'd be a lovely little sort of protected by the big wall.
Right, I know.
And stop the winds, and it was tight, and we'd have like a 7v7, an 8v8 there, 6v6 there, always competitive. And I always remember this kid, Fran, coming in training, and every time he shot, seemed to go in. Now, I know we had a big remember Simo?
Simo the goalie,
yeah. Well, he probably ruined him, to be fair, but we had so every time he shot, he kept going in. And I mean, sometimes what I was thinking, that shot's not even a good shot. Like, I'm hitting hard shots, and the goalie keeps saving them. And then this kid turns round, and I don't know if strikers have this thing, like, is it timing? Is it, does he take the ball early?
Does he hit it differently?
Did he hit it differently? Yeah. But he kept going in. And that was the start of Fran, who, in my opinion, was one of the best talents that I think Liverpool's produced. And obviously we'll talk further about his career and where it went. But I think as far as we've had Robbie, who's come from Liverpool, who's a fantastic striker, obviously one of the greatest. And I think Franny would have been in that ilk if he, as I said, we'll talk further. But if he'd have stayed at Everton a bit longer, maybe.
Yeah.
But we'll get his opinion on that.
Well, we'll be dedefinitely looking at that.
Lovely introduction, that way.
It is. Yeah. Oh, well, he's very kind. He never speaks like that about me, to be fair. But Franny, listen, we're going to talk about all of your career and your move to Arsenal and all the rest of it. But one of the things that we want to really talk about, and we look at the Premier League every week and some of the stories from the weekend, and there were some stories this weekend, but we want to focus on strikers, really, and the strikers in the Premier League at the moment. And you look at the likes of Haaland, who's scoring for fun again, but he's the only one at Manchester City who seems to be getting the goals. You're looking at Gyökeres, who's come in, Walter Marder at Newcastle. And then you look at probably teams like Liverpool are not firing up front, are they?
No.
So I guess the question is what is the best striking situation at the moment in the Premier League?
It's hard though, because for me, I know Tony said about the moves I had, and was it the move to Arsenal? I think the big thing, what stalled my career was the one up front. So I needed a partner. I could function. That's probably wrong, but I needed to play off someone. I needed to use another striker to make runs off them. And obviously I struck up a great relationship with KC. But yeah, the thing with everyone's up there on their own. So you need to be physical. There's different strikers in the Premier League now. You look at Liverpool, they haven't been firing, and they've got an array of talent at the front end of the pitch. Whereas if you look at Man City, they're so reliant on Haaland at the minute, aren't they? And that for me is strange, because the amount of talent they've got,
exactly.
for them to be reliant on one man is strange.
And
So
in a way, it's a good point you make, because you look at that team and they are actually going to the one man, aren't they?
Yeah,
They are.
yeah.
Whereas a lot of teams aren't they? They're not actually playing into a front man or a front two that we used to know. You know, I mean, we've talked a lot about strikers, haven't we, on this podcast, and the lack of top class strikers around at the moment. You know, but I just want to take you back to that two up front thing.
Yeah.
Has that gone, do you think, now completely? Or?
Well, it has cycles in football, doesn't it? I think you know, you look at what's happening now, that they're so reliant on set plays. You know, I remember obviously Tony Pulis at Stoke getting hammered for, people said he only picked Rory Delap because he had a long throw.
Yeah.
Now every team's looking to sign someone who's got a long throw and use it. But yeah, in terms of the strikers, I think it will come back. I think there will be still some teams who are using it, but it's more about the number of strikers teams have now. For me, you know, you look at Man City, they have Haaland. If they want to change it up, you know, and they want to go two up front, or they want to take Haaland off and freshen up, that, you know, they haven't really got anyone. And then
Not in that number 9.
Yeah, you look at most teams that, you know, I think when I was around, when Tony was around, it was everyone had 4 or 5, didn't they? You know, I think we were speaking about it, me and Tony, about like just looking at, you know, I don't want to ramble on about Everton's situation, but, you know, obviously their strikers are not firing. Whether they're good enough or not, that's up for debate. But then you always had a couple of young lads coming behind you. So at Everton, you know, we always had me, Danny Cadamatsi, Phil Jevons, Branchy. And then after that, it was Wayne, weren't it? And Victor Anachibi, James Vaughan. I've spoke about this on other shows. It's there's no one coming behind that Everton, is there, to challenge, you know, like Bakayoko came to Everton and I felt I was ready to play at Everton, and then Walter signed Bakayoko and I thought, I seen him in training and I thought, right, that'll do because I'm better than him. Now it's like we haven't got no one coming behind Beto or Barry to challenge him. We've always been known for having strikers.
And as a midfielder, too, I mean, you know, how what's the difference between playing with one striker and having a two like Kevin and Franny were back in the day?
Well, Fran just mentioned then, like, it goes in cycles, and the methodology of football. I see more patterns of play in the back line than I do in the final third now. You know, people are getting applause for doing a triangle round the box, where I'm looking at up in the final third, you don't see that many patterns of play, and one of the reasons is you've got less players up there. So all your patterns of plays are just all building things up, aren't they? Like, sort of like build all that build up. Whereas when I was coming through, as soon as you get half turned, you'd look forward. And as you just said, Fran, then playing with, like, he played with Kevin Campbell when he came through, and Kevin was a big, strong guy, wasn't he? He could handle the ball. Kev, he fired the ball into Kev, it'd stick, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? And then you could. Then what would happen then is Kev would lay someone off, and Fran's, because he's a clever, his next run, but you're in on goal.
Up, back and through.
Play
into KC. KC would be setting Tony, and that was my trigger to run in behind.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Do you remember when Mitrovic was playing for Fulham?
Yeah.
There was a lot of eyes on a lot of Fulham's forward play. It was the ball into Mitrovic.
Yeah.
He'd set, and it was have another forward run, and he got quite a few goals by it, and they made a big thing of it. But back in our day, lots of football was like that. And there's nothing wrong in that football. That football gets you off your seat.
Yeah.
It gets you excited. It gets the fans. Because we've mentioned about the fans. It's the biggest part of our game. It's how the fans interact with the game.
Yeah.
And that gets them off the seat.
I think just going back to Everton, because, you know, I watched the great team. You know, we had great footballers, didn't we? You know, the back four was great midfield, Reid and Bracewell, but we used to play off sharp and grey and play in the opposition half. So we play long into them, pick the balls up, and then go and play from there, get it wide, stick it in the boxes. Now you don't see it anymore.
And now you're looking at, like you mentioned, Haaland's being the only ones. You're talking about the strikers now. If Haaland was not to play, then they have to Pepper come up with different solutions, but will always be dominate the ball, keep the opposition working. But a lot of these oppositions now are fit, are strong, are expecting the same types of play. You know, and You are prone to that
a
counter
lot,
attack
a lot
now.
of teams are coached now for that
Yeah.
little intricate passing. So
Yeah.
you know they get in low block, don't they?
Yeah.
It's a 4-5-1 or it's a 5-4-1, and they work on it all week when they come up against Man City. And if you get yourself in the right slots and you shuffle it quick enough, you can actually limit them. Like Tony's saying, you know, what would happen if Man City changed it up a little when every time let's play off Haaland.
Yeah.
All of a sudden teams are stumped, aren't they? We weren't expecting this. It's almost like you know what you're getting now in the Premier League. You watch, so you're going into a game and you watch the opposition like all the managers do, and there's so many analytical views on it. How are we going to stop? What are the areas they're looking to hurt us? There's nothing to surprise anyone anymore.
No.
Everyone just does what it says on the tin. Every team you watch, they do the same thing every week.
And the thing is, you talk about that pairing of a strike force. You know, it was always good to have a partner, I would imagine, because you know what that partner's going to do.
Yeah.
Like I remember the goal, you know, and the Liverpool fans watching probably that not happy about bringing it up, but the goal that Kevin scored against Liverpool in the derby early on in the derby, and there was that what you were talking about before, where I think he played into you, you played back to him, and you know, and it was that sort of little, and you knew where he was, you knew where he was going to be. Whereas if you're on your own up front, I would imagine, I mean, I've never played, but I imagine that you're looking at, you've got 3 or 4 different things, you know, 3 or 4 different places where the ball can come from.
Yeah.
You've not got that same understanding of the game. Would that be fair to say?
But also, Al, as well, if you've got the one up front, if your manager's asking that guy to join in the build-up,
Got no one up front.
if no one's going to run beyond you, you're going to join in the build-up and you're just going to keep the ball. Or if you lose it, it's a counter-attack. You know, so sometimes these ones up the top, they're staying at the top and they're staying out the game. And sometimes you're just missing something, aren't you? You're missing that. You know, it's just going side to side all the time. He's not getting involved now. So, you know, it's
I think it's easier at the teams that dictate the ball. You know, I look at it going back to, I think the first manager that ever did it for me was Alan Kirbishley, and I'd just signed for him at Charlton, and we had a bit of a bad run. And he said to me, "Look, you know, we're conceding too many goals. I've got to shore it up a little bit, and I'm going to play Sean Bartlett up there on his own." And that was sort of the change for me, and like it worked, and obviously they become a bit more secure.
Yeah.
Sean Bartlett was more of a focal point than me, and then I couldn't really get in the team at Charlton, and then it started to come into the game more, and I think that's definitely where I struggled.
Let me look at some of the strikers in the Premier League at the moment, and you look at your old club Arsenal. They brought Gyökeres in.
Yeah,
he's not hit the ground running as far as goal scoring is concerned, but he's certainly getting involved. And is he bringing a lot more than just goals, do you think, to this Arsenal side?
Well, he leads the line well. I think he's probably less of a footballer than Havertz.
Yeah.
But once again, you go back to it. You know, if he's not playing, who have they got to play through the middle there? I like him. I think he's hard working.
Yeah.
I went down to Arsenal to do the Man City game, and a lot of the fans you speak to were on the fence with him. But listen, he'll get goals. Yeah, I think he's already on 5, is he, for this 5 or 6 for the season? But he's hard working. He puts himself around. He's probably different to what they've had over the last few years. You know what I mean? The intricate passing, Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, who drop in and link the play, like Tony was saying. He's one who probably doesn't get involved in that, but will work the channels and will cause havoc for centre halves. He's robust, isn't he? Puts himself around. To me, he doesn't look the quickest, but he's certainly an handful. He'll score goals for Arsenal. And listen, they're sitting top of the league, aren't they? So you know, you do have to take that into consideration. Yeah. I know people will say, well, you know, anyone can play up front for them. They're the best team in that, but they're sitting top of the league and they're going well. So you have to, you know, he's come in, he's new. We have to give him a bit of time. But I think the way he started, I think he started well.
And I think just on the Gyökeres situation, you look at last year and you said Havertz was up front, which he was lots of games, and he's not a striker.
No,
he's never running away
from.
He's
never quite worked from as a striker.
No, I don't really know what position.
He's not.
His
No,
best position is.
It's unfair, isn't it? Because he's such.
Is he more of a 10?
I think he's such a good footballer. When I watched him at Chelsea, he sometimes played in a midfield 3, one of them attacking midfielders. Then he's played wide for Arsenal. He's played as a 10. He's such a good footballer. I always say good footballers can play anywhere. He's found a way, hasn't he? And you have to give him credit for that. But at a club like Arsenal wanting to challenge for the major honours, last season it was him playing up front, and then when they lost him, this is what we're talking about. They had to play Moreno up front, who I thought when he come to Arsenal was a holding midfielder. Yeah. That's what I had in my head. I didn't know too much about Moreno, but I always seen him as a midfielder. You can never believe he'd go and play up front, but that shows, doesn't it? We talk about years ago when you look at Man United's team and they had York and Cole and Sheringham and Solskjaer and Fergie could mix it up, and then if things weren't going,
Van Nistelrooy before that,
and you look at it now, it's like, Arsenal obviously lost Jesus, I think it was, and had to then go to Havertz, who's not a striker, and then lose Havertz, and you're into Moreno playing up front. It's like, well, where's your strikers? You can't just have one.
But I think they had, at least they got a striker, didn't they?
Yeah.
So the season ended last year.
Yeah.
They're going into pre-season, and they're not that far off being a really good team, were they, last year? They're not that far off. They showed loads of glimpses last year that, we could win the league, this squad. But
it was a glaring miss, wasn't it? It was a glaring miss that they needed a striker, a proper striker.
That's what I'm saying. So they went and looked, they scoured Europe, and your conversation starts about strikers, and there wasn't that many who were jumping out. They paid big money. I think they paid 80-odd million for him. So he was a well-touted striker. I think
he had 39 goals. I think
39 goals. He knows the English league, maybe not the Prem.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to, as I agree with Fran, I think he'll be a good signing.
Yeah.
He's a focal point at the top. And then they bring in Eze, who can do all the little bits in between, all the build-up play, get involved. And they've got some fantastic footballers.
Yeah. In behind him, they've got real special footballers.
And they weren't far off last year.
No.
So, they haven't got many strikers in depth. But then, if Gyökeres stays fit, and then they have got a Havertz who can come on. They had him last year anyway. Yeah. But
Gyökeres, it's mad because I watched them as an 18-year-old at Brighton.
Yeah.
It was the year we won the league with Everton's under-21s with Unzi and Johnny Ebb.
Right.
And we were going for the league with Brighton. And we went down there thinking he was a right handful, but I think he was only 18 at the time. I thought he's one to keep your eye on him. He's a good player. And then to win the league, we needed to beat Brighton at home at Goodison. And he played again up front, and he was an handful again, and we went 1-0 up. And Brighton got a penalty in the 85th minute. I don't really remember. He went to take it and slipped over, and the ball looped over the bar. Well, that was him.
Yeah. Right.
So I've always followed. Do you remember it?
Yeah,
So we ended up winning the league. We beat Brighton 1-0 to clinch the league at Goodison. And I think of him right. He was the one who missed the penalty. But when someone you come across someone at a young age and you keep your eye on their career.
I've never known.
And he went to Coventry then, didn't he? Banged loads of goals in. Right. And the thing that struck me is, you look at him now. Why has he had to go to Portugal? Because he was scoring loads in the Championship. So he could.
He had chances to come to a few clubs. I know Everton were definitely interested.
Were they?
Yeah, they definitely tried to get him, but didn't want to. Wanted to go abroad.
Did he? Fair play to him. Maybe he thought by going abroad to just develop something different in his game, and he's come back. Listen, for me, he's a top striker. He'll get goals.
And then when you look at Ollie Watkins, at Villa, he a year ago he was the choice for Harry Kane's understudy at England.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the case now. What happens when you lose form as a striker? And I mean, does that coincide with the team losing form? Because in Villa's case, that's actually happened, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to, does it? I mean, you can still win games without your striker scoring goals. I think, there's talent all over the pitch in the Premier League now. The goals come from, they're probably spread out a bit more, aren't they? Unless you're Man City.
Yeah.
They probably spread them more through the team. So it doesn't have to be that your striker loses form and your team don't win. It probably coincides a little bit. But I think the thing that, when the goals do dry up and the confidence and then all the questions are getting asked you, all you can do, Al, is keep working, keep trying, you hear managers all the time, and it's a cliche, and just get back to the training ground and keep working and keep putting yourself in them positions. I hope that thing's saying round. Ollie Watkins, for me, is, as you said, he was, for me, I thought England's best chance of beating Spain in the Euros was if he left Harry Kane out and played Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had that thought.
I did. Maybe Gareth did as well, but sometimes
difficult,
circumstances, fans.
There's some arguments, isn't it, to leave
You know,
Harry Kane out
the
in
weight of the
fairness.
nation. You know, he's England's captain. By the way, unbelievable striker, Harry Kane. But the way Spain play was it an up? You know, Harry Kane, not the quickest, bangs goals in for fun, obviously. You know, top striker. But did we need someone to come on and maybe with a bit more pace up top? That was my take on it. But Ollie Watkins, listen, he's a top striker. He'll get back to scoring goals there because Villa are a team who create a fair bit.
When you are having a bit of a rough time as a striker, do you go in the dressing room and say to the likes of this fella, you know, come on, start scoring some goals? I mean, do you put pressure on them to help you out?
You never really have them chats, Ali. He'll tell you. It's just you just go out and
do your best.
Yeah, you just do your best, don't you? You keep working. For me, you keep doing the same things. You keep putting yourself in the areas.
The manager would have a go with you sometimes, wouldn't he? You know, if you come in at half time and because like, let's have it right. Your striker and your goalie are so important, aren't they? If your goalie makes a blunder, it's a goal, isn't it?
It's where things happen, isn't it?
Yeah. Your striker keeps going through. So if your striker keeps going through and it's 1-on-1 and he makes a wrong decision or he keeps missing, it's not normally the players, because the players, we're all teammates. Now, you might have a senior player who might go, and I'm not saying it was Fran, but he could go, we've got to put these away, but he knows that. But the manager might start, because the pressure's on the manager, isn't it?
Yeah,
so the manager might come for you at half time a little bit, mightn't he?
I tell you what, more in our day.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the players can handle it. No. The flack that we get, you know, Walter and people like that, and Archie, you know what I mean? No punches pulled with them. It'd be like, you know what I mean? You'd be walking up the tunnel like Goodison thinking, right, you're getting it here. You know you're getting it. Yeah. So get yourself ready for it. But you might have needed it. But the thing where I go back to is, if you weren't doing it, there was always someone there to come on. So it's like
you're coming off now.
You're coming off. You know that sometimes you don't have to say anything to your strikers. You just look. I've got another 2 or 3 sitting on the bench. Yeah. You know, it was obviously, we speak about the partnerships then. So, you know, I remember going through a bit of a tough time at Everton and Joe Max Moore coming in. Yeah. You know, no one really knew Joe. No. But he come in and scored a few goals, and I remember speaking to Tony at the time, saying, look, it's, you know, a bit of advice from a more senior player, look, it happens, you'll be back in. But I think I had to wait about 10 or 12 games, so sitting on the bench then, and Joe found a few goals, and that's what happened.
And he's a bit different, wasn't he, Joe, in many ways? You know, he's American, he's someone,
energy about
even his name, you know, like people wanted to know more about him, didn't they?
And he was a decent striker, Joe. Was good.
Yeah, he was.
But going back to it, and I keep alluding to it, it's like, no, has anyone really got anyone to come off the bench? No. You know, you look at it, don't you? You know, we go back to Everton because it's my team, it's our team. So you're looking at them yesterday, and obviously it's Beto or it's Barry.
Yeah. There's no alternatives after that, you know.
You know, it's not working for them, is it? You know, either of them really. Yeah. But Barry will play one game and you know, he struggles, and then on 60 minutes, Beto comes on and gives you a bit of a lift, and then he might start the week after, and it
just reverses.
It reverses, and
like years ago there was a saying, wasn't there? The manager would say, "Go and take the shirt. Yeah, make the shirt your own. Just make that shirt your own." And at the moment, you talk about Everton, no one's making the shirt their own.
But you know, I know it's tough, but where's our 18-year-old? Where's our 17-year-old? Where's our Cadamatri, Jeffers, Jevons, Branch?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Well, the academy system got a lot. We spoke about this before.
McLeod came in, didn't he?
For a bit, you know. We talked about how the academy in the last 10 years has changed from back in the day. So you go and watch an under 16, 17, 18 game now, and it is very similar to what the first team had. It's all pass. Yeah. And the coaches are getting the passing stats at the end, and we've had 70% of possession. Yeah. We're still playing with one up top. Yeah. I remember when I was at Blackburn, and we had who was the manager who came in, the ex-Man U player?
The centre half.
Yeah.
Can't remember his name.
So he came in with a good idea, which I thought was good, and no one ever done it. He thinks that the youth football should go back to having 2 strikers in your youth setup, because it's 2 and 4-4-2, and get people matched up, get people running against each other and match them up, and then when they go in the first team, the good players will evolve anyway. whatever the manager wants to do. You said before, good players will find a way anyway.
Find a way, yeah.
But start getting 2 strikers because we've got no strikers.
I think he's Norwegian, but I just can't remember his name for whatever reason.
Hennenberg?
Hennenberg is right. Yeah.
Job of me, isn't it?
It's a good job you're here, Tom. I mean, Franny, every week we need somebody
going back to that, what Tony says, like, obviously, you know, we always produced them at Everton, whether you thought we were good enough or what, you know.
They were always there.
They were always there. They were always waiting. It has dried up, but like going back to under 18 games, it was A and B team then. Colin Harvey, what a coach! But Colin was one of them. Get it forward quick, get it in, get it into Fran, like, and then he come in at half time, and if we hadn't played forward, he'd destroy you, Col. Yeah. You know, we've got Fran up front there with Danny Cadamatri. Get them the ball. Yeah. And now it's all, as Tony said, it's pass. So you're probably going to lose, you know. So I can only speak for myself and maybe Danny Cadamatri, and like, we were all probably off the shoulder strikers who wanted balls fast, on turnovers, spin it in behind. Now you look at it, a lot of it is work your way up the pitch, right? So all of a sudden you work your way up the pitch, Al, right? Now I was renowned for my movement, but if you're someone who relies solely on pace and power, Danny Cadamatri probably wasn't as good as me with the ball, probably wasn't as bright as me with movement, but was certainly quicker than me, was stronger than me. Yeah. He needed the ball early. There's probably players in our academy system now that fall away because of that, because everything is pass. So all of a sudden, you work it. All of a sudden, the team are now defending the edge of their box.
Yeah, in numbers.
Yeah. And if you're not bright, or your game's not little intricate movements, you can almost get lost. It's work your way up the pitch, and now all of a sudden we've had 20 passes, right? We're now on the edge of the opposition box, but have a guess what? They've got 9 men behind the ball now because we've worked our way up slow. What about when the ball turns over, spinning one down the side, and Danny Cadamatri taking off in the channel like his goal against Liverpool, the famous goal. Yeah. He's now 1v1 with Cavani, which is exactly what you want. Yeah. Now, if Danny Cadamatri was coming through and I'm not saying anything about Danny's football ability. He was pure pace and power. Yeah. Michael Branch probably similar. Yeah. Whereas, you know, I was quite bright. You know, I could probably find pockets better than them too.
That football brain.
Probably, But going back to it, you know, getting people 1v1, playing to the strengths. Now, you know, academies are based a lot around bright footballers, aren't they? Yeah. But the strikers are dying out, I feel, in the academy system. And that could be because we don't get the ball forward early enough. So all of a sudden, like I said to you, the game's changing where you're up on the edge of the opposition box now, but there's 8 men there.
Yeah. Well, Liverpool are finding this out right now, aren't they? You know, you look at the game on the weekends, and they're having all the ball, and then, you know, Brentford are getting everyone back behind the ball. So then they've got to find that little bit of inventiveness or creation. Yeah. And they mightn't have, like, Ekatike mightn't be that player, right? He mightn't be that clever. Isaac might not be that clever. Lots of the times I watch Isaac play for Newcastle. A lot of the stuff was on the transition where he was effective. So it was Newcastle, the opposition attacking Newcastle, and then you look at Brentford's goal. Brentford's goal was a quick changeover, and it was one ball, and it was a runner. It was a willing runner, but the willing runner had pace. He had pace, and you spin that back to Everton now, and this is where we lack at Everton. We're lacking, even if the striker's not pulling it on. Everybody wants it to feet, but there's no one with real, genuine pace. Like back in my day, Andre Kanchelskis had the genuine pace. It's genuine pace that gets you from A to B and a goal-scoring opportunity. Well, the Brentford boy, I heard the commentator say he's extremely fast. So he's obviously, you know, he's gone. He's just got to finish now if he's good enough to finish it. But then you look at Liverpool, all this intricate play. Now, when you get round the box, you know, Salah, he wants space. He loves to be a transition player. They're not really equipped for like Man City, are they?
Liverpool's best goal this season for me was the one in Europe the other day. The
Yeah.
defender in the edge of the box, it drops
Yes,
to
right.
Andy Robertson,
Yeah.
and he flips a ball right
Seconds,
in
wasn't it?
behind the German defenders,
Yeah.
and Ekatiké's running onto it.
Right,
He must have
right.
thought, wow,
I
this
mean,
is what I'm about.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm rapid.
Yeah.
Play me as soon as on the turnover. I don't think, who was it they played? Frankfurt, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Frankfurt.
Yeah,
Frankfurt.
was it Frankfurt? Yeah. Anyway.
So you're seeing Frankfurt's
was.
defenders go, I've never seen that before. It was just turnover, Andy Robertson flips one in behind, all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was a
It was a shock, wasn't it?
goal.
It was a
Yeah,
shock
it was, yeah.
to the Frankfurt team, because no one really does it anymore.
And it
Drops
changed
to
the
Andy
game as
Robertson.
well,
It's
didn't
like let's control it. Let's go back to our keeper. Let's spread.
Yeah.
Let's get our shape, and now let's work our way up the pitch. Whereas that ball just dropped to him. Ekatike took off and he went bang in behind, and it was like,
And it changed the game, I think.
it
You
did
know,
change the game.
Yeah,
It did,
yeah.
because but you don't see it that much from your Liverpools, do you? It's like,
No.
let's work our way up
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pitch. You've probably seen it more with Klopp.
Yeah.
Because Klopp was on the
Yes.
turnover,
Yeah,
high octane, get it forward. But sometimes you gotta stifle the opposition and then go bang and hurt them.
By the way, just going back to you, I remember, I don't know whether privilege is the word, but I remember being involved in a few of those half-time team talks.
Yeah.
You know, when Walter was there.
Yeah, yeah,
I wouldn't have liked to have been on the seats. You know,
Seen a few things.
I saw. Yeah,
It was,
one in particular,
Walter was
Bradford. I
Yeah.
seem to remember one at Bradford with Stephen Hughes was an interesting day. That was fun.
Yeah, Walter was they had a good relate. Obviously, him and Archie were best pals. Weren't
Yeah.
they? It was good cop, bad cop, weren't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they'd have turns of peace at that. So you knew if Archie was being kind to you,
You're getting it off the mark.
Walter's going to come for you in any second. You knew it. So vice versa, Walter would say, "Fran, come at me. Might need a little bit more from you. Can you do this a bit better?" And you knew Archie was. You could see him waiting to go. He's being nice to you there. I'm going to tell you exactly how it is.
Yeah, yeah. It was some combination, wasn't it?
Whereas Howard, I was only around for the short.
Yeah.
Howard was.
In that 97, 98 season.
He was different. He very rarely swore, Howard.
No.
I think being in the changing rooms, you knew it wasn't going well when Howard would say, "Dearie, dearie me."
Yeah.
That was his way.
He was a thinker, wasn't he?
Yeah, so he'd be there, be walking around. You'd be getting beat, and you haven't played well.
He didn't really dwell when you think about Howard.
Dearie,
He
me,
didn't
boys.
dwell on the first
Yeah,
half.
right.
He was always trying to put a solution in for the second half.
Yeah.
Whether that was taking players off. And it wasn't so much like he never hammered players.
No.
Yeah.
He just take you out the team.
Where
And the next guy who's coming on.
was it with Shorty?
Oh yeah, we mentioned that, didn't we?
Yeah, he's
Yeah, we've had that
Oh, it's a
one.
cracker.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
man- I was the
Got to
man-
change
I was the
things.
man-
Was that my debut?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Was it old Sat?
No, it was at Goodison. This was at Goodison, this one, where he told Shorty he's coming off.
Things have got to change.
But
Back three when he played Slaven
That's right.
at Old Midfield, didn't he?
Yeah.
But that's what Howard's done. He would try and find a solution. Now, obviously, in the 80s, he didn't have that many. He only had one sub for starters back in the 80s. So that was different.
Of course.
But the team he had, once he found his team, he didn't have that many problems at half time, did he?
Well, he used to say to me, actually, funny enough, whenever I'd go in and interview him the day after games and whatever, and he'd say, he used to have a few sayings, but one of them was, your least important game is your last one, and your most important game is your next one. And that was his mentality, which would sort of really say what you're saying. Really, you move on from whatever.
Move on,
The other one was, he'd have a cigar in his mouth and he'd say, "Always give yourself time for this, son." And that was always nice to see. But as far as let's listen. Let's talk about you, Fran, because we're talking about your career. We talked about when you came to Everton. I mean, you were at Everton from a young age, weren't you? Because I seem to remember you've talked about Cadamatries and you talked about Jevons and you talked about Branchies and then you seem to just all of a sudden be there, and I didn't know where you came from or how did it happen for you?
So obviously, Sid Benson, best scout around, him and Bob Pendleton, weren't he?
Yeah, I remember Bob.
So they were picking up all the talent, weren't they? So I went to Liverpool schoolboys, and you couldn't go into the School of Excellence, could you, till under 11, weren't it? You couldn't go in like you see the kids now in that 5s and 6s. So Sid picked me up at trialing for Liverpool schoolboys, and I was playing right wing, I think, in the trial. Anyway, he took me into Everton, he signed me when I was under 11. And yeah, it was going well. We had a good team. Me, Ozzy, Ibo. We had loads of good players. And then the trials for Lilleshall, which was obviously where they picked the best 16 players, what they thought to. You moved away from home, so I was fortunate enough to get selected for that. So that's probably why I not forgotten about, but you know, the likes of Ozzy and Ibo and that, they'd have probably been coming in training with the YTSs.
Okay.
You know, like on a weekend, or maybe getting on the bench for the A and the B team, because that was the way it was. So I was sort of out of sight, out of mind, but getting on with me football down at Lilleshall.
Yeah.
And then I came back. There'd been some. One of the managers, Howard had just come back for the third spell. Yeah. That was the summer I joined as a
97.
As a YTS. Yeah. Who's the manager?
Joe would have just left.
Joe had left, yeah. and very strangely, it was Ronnie Goodless and Ersty with the youth team coaches.
Right. Okay.
And Joe went, and obviously the whole of his sort of youth setup as well.
Yeah.
So I was coming back to. Obviously, Ray Hall, who was part of the furniture, had been there. And so I obviously knew Ray, Neil Dewsnip. But then Colin and Taffy, they were starting. And I didn't get there, for the first 2 weeks of pre-season, because I'd gone to play for England in Brazil.
Oh, right, okay.
So that's probably why you're saying I just arrived.
Yeah,
so I got there 2 weeks into the pre-season. And, obviously... straight into it with Colin, you know what it's like. There's, even though you play for England and you felt a bit special, that was quickly knocked out of you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When he seen somebody, he was probably waiting for it, Col, just to think, right, we need to probably bring this little
cheeky chappy down.
Little fella down to earth a little bit. So, you're training, he's waiting for that first mistake. And he was probably one of the best coaches I've worked with, Col.
Yeah.
He was just unbelievable. And then he had a younger coach in Taffy who was who used
Taffy
to
complimented
he did
each other,
he did
he,
he did because Taffy had not long finished playing, had he? I don't think.
No.
And Taffy was brilliant. He used to pull you around by your ears, didn't he? That was it. You need to come here.
By me,
yeah.
Well, Franny had a lot of personality as a young kid. So when you're talking about Danny Card and young Jevo, at the time they were just like good youth players.
Yes.
Who are going to, at some stage, hopefully get the chance. Franny was kicking doors down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I remember.
There was a different personality.
Same with Wayne. You saw that. It was almost the demand.
There was like a demand.
There's a demand from you. Did you have that? Was that conscious?
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah.
No, if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you? I believed.
Yeah, but there's believing in himself, and there's like taking on senior pros, and which
like
the
other lads I was saying. So then they got their chance.
Yeah.
And one's a little bit better than the other lad. But the chance was going to come because they were doing well.
Yeah.
Whereas I think you was sort of, you weren't waiting for anyone to, you wanted that chance now. You were ready.
Yeah.
You thought you were ready as soon as you started training, and you can feel that. And I think the managers felt that. Do you know what I mean? Because how old was you when you made your debut?
16.
Do you know what I mean? So
I remember hearing, listening to a lot of the youth game. We scored a lot of goals in the youth team at that point. I think we won the youth cup.
We won the youth cup.
And I think there was a great game against Blackpool, I think, at Goodison on a really bad pitch. I think something like 6-5 or something, it was mad. There was goals galore. Yeah. And I just kept seeing Jeffers 3, and I was thinking, and then all of a sudden you're in the team.
But all that's what, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
That's not just for Everton, by the way. That was for every club. If the year before I got back to Everton, I'd been with Michael Owen at Lilleshall. He was one of my seniors. So Michael Owen, Bawley, Wes Brown. Yeah. Top group.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting in the common room at Lilleshall doing my final year there and watching it, watching Sky with all the lads. Yeah. And there was a game on and it flashed the little corner bit and it went to Selhurst Park and Michael Owen was coming off the bench to make his debut for Liverpool. I think I'm probably 16, 17. And we're in, and you knew, by the way, I'd seen it before. So he comes off the bench and you're thinking, Wimbledon, was it? It was Wimbledon they were playing, not Crystal. So it was that.
Yeah, they were playing.
That Selhurst Park.
Playing at Selhurst Park.
So he comes off the bench, and you knew, like we'd been working with him for a year.
I can see the goal.
He breaks through.
Yeah, that's right.
Long ball.
Yeah, that's
the left back flips it in behind.
Yeah.
Michael's on his bike.
Yeah. He
you know,
just did it in the same run, hasn't
yeah,
he?
and without going back to it, Michael Owen was probably the quickest thing I'd ever seen,
Yeah.
and probably still is. I've never seen a striker lose centre-backs in 2 strides like he did. So, in behind, you know, Michael was a good footballer as well, like Robbie. You know, they'd have found a way in the modern game now.
Yeah.
Robbie probably was unbelievable at finding half a yard in the box and didn't miss, did he? Whereas Michael was probably more off the shoulder and one who, even though Robbie could do it Michael was quicker than Robbie. You're going back to 2 great strikers there. How would Michael and Robbie cope now? Robbie'd have probably coped, I feel, more because he could find half a yard in the box, Robbie, whereas Michael was more run onto things, and both unbelievable talents. But just going back to, you know, how would they cope in today's game? A bit like, you know, just going back to Danny Cadamarti, who was pure pace and power. It's like you look back and think, how would they cope now?
So Michael Owen was as good as he says he is.
Michael Owen, for me, was the only certainty I've ever seen.
Really?
Like, and obviously I didn't know Robbie, people like that. Wayne, probably him and Wayne, who you know, the ones where when I see Michael Owen at Liverpool,
it's not even a question.
It was like, Jesus Christ, like there's nothing that can, even his size, you know, not the biggest, probably a little bit smaller than me. He was the only one where I thought it's impossible to stop him. I remember watching the Victory Shield. Do you remember that? England under 15s?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And I remember watching, so I was trialling for Lilleshall. It'd been Michael's first year at Lilleshall, so I wasn't there, playing for England under 15s. And I think they were playing to win the Victory Shield against Scotland, going back here. England went 1 up. Scotland equalised. And ball back on the centre spot and kicked off. And he just took the ball. You just seen him. He just took the ball. And that was it. No one touched the ball. He went right through. Bang. It was almost like, do you remember the one against Argentina where he picks it up and then he dribbles and then but it started with their whole team behind the ball, Scotland's team, and he just went through every one of them, and it was like, I'd never seen anything like it. And then I was fortunate enough to get to Lilleshall and work with him every day. And for me, like, there's only people I've ever seen him and Wayne where you think there's nothing that can stop them. You know, they'd have to.
But you come into that side, didn't you, 97, 98, and there was a lot of, it was probably from my point of view as working behind the scenes at a football club, it's probably the most bizarre season I've ever had and ever will have, if ever I worked in a football club again. I mean, everything was going on that season.
Yeah.
And you coming in as a young lad, how was that, you know, for you? I mean,
I think Tony said it didn't affect me. Nothing affected me when I was younger. So it was just like, this is where I belong. You know, I used to love going in training. And like Tony said, I felt I belonged there. So that season, it was almost like, not that you want the team to lose, but as a striker or someone you need an opportunity. So that might be a couple of injuries. That might be team losing, not playing well, you know, but I need to throw a young lad in here, or you need something to happen for your opportunities, don't you? Or you just keep doing what you're doing, and in the end, they can't ignore you. So for me, it was, even though it was a mad season, it was just something I was thinking, right, you're gonna get your opportunity. You got to be ready.
Yeah, and I think just training every day. You know, watching him in training every day, I'm putting the manager's eyes on now. You know, it's we've got to get him on the pitch, and especially having Kevin with you as well. Someone who could
Kevin
take.
I mean, the next year.
So the season you're talking about was the season we stayed up.
Yes.
So Gareth Farrelly.
Gareth
so
scored,
I think
that
was the season I made my debut, wasn't it?
That's
at
right,
Old Trafford in Boxing Day. Yeah, it was mad. It was just.
Well, it was his movement.
Yeah.
His movement was like something the club haven't got. They haven't got that movement.
No.
You were fast. You were sharp, wasn't you?
I wasn't quick.
Sharp.
I wasn't quick. I was quick enough to hold my own.
But your quickness in mind.
But I was on the move into areas where defenders struggled, or where I knew I could get joy. I was always on the move. Even I think back to my first goal at Coventry.
Yeah.
You know, Richard Shaw goes to clear it, and I nick in front of him, and I'm just on the move half a yard earlier than him, and that's how I get my goal. And I wasn't quick, you know. If you put a race on,
But you look quick, though.
Yeah,
You say,
yeah.
because you were
Yeah,
sharp.
I was
You said
sharp. I was
quick as a
sharp.
mind.
It's
I
quickness
was
in
sharp.
mind,
I
isn't
wasn't.
it? I was remember Jimmy Gabriel saying, you know, it's all about decisions making, and it's all about
There's
making
5
sure-
yarders in your head. And
Exactly. You
all
know.
of that.